Celia, and this is ABS English Academy. Today, we will learn about the third conditional. Yes, so come on, let's see it.
Mom, will you have married Dad if you had seen her first in high definition? Or if you had been on time, you would have gotten a seat. You would have gotten a seat. Okay, so in these two examples, we use the third conditional. Yes, the third conditional. Keep in mind, we use the third conditional to talk about past wishes, or unreal events. Maybe, if you remember, you have already learned about the zero conditional, first conditional, and the second one. This is the last one, the third conditional. And we use it to talk about unreal situations, imaginary situations in the past. Keep in mind that. So, let's see the structure of this conditional.
Let's see now the structure of this third conditional. Keep in mind, we use the third conditional to express past wishes or events that are unreal. Okay? Unreal. Well, like all conditional, the third conditional has two parts, the if clause and the result clause. The if clause and the result clause. The if always start with this word, if, and then you need a subject. You decide the subject you're going to express the wish about. Maybe you, she, they, my husband, my wife, my father. You decide. And then you're going to use this auxiliary, had or hadn't, plus a past participle verb. If you're thinking about the past perfect, you are very good. I mean, you're right. Yes, this is past perfect structure. Had plus past participle verb. And then a complement. For example, if you had been on time, if she had been on time, if she had read the book, if they hadn't called you, if I had been there, if you had studied more, if she had arrived on time. Different examples. Always if plus a past perfect sentence. Yes? So remember, if subject had or hadn't, it's up to you if you decide for positive or negative option, and then a verb in past participle plus a complement. Well, you have the first part, if clause, is busy. Now, what about the result clause? The result clause is this wish, is this event that are unreal. It's something that would have happened, that could have happened, that might have happened, but it didn't, right? We are in the fantasy world right now. So, it starts by a subject. For example, if you have been on time, you, and then you have some options here. The typical option is would have or wouldn't have for the negative one. So you would have or you wouldn't have. I would have or I wouldn't have. She would have or she wouldn't have. They would have or they wouldn't have. Always with this word have. And what about might have and could have? Well, you have these two options when you are unsure of the result, right? If you're unsure, you can say, well, you might have, you could have. We are not certain about that. And then again, you need a verb, but in past participle, right? This is a conditional, the third conditional. So you're going to use the past participle of the verb plus a complement. So let's see the full sentence now. If you had been on time, you would have gotten a seat. If you had been on time, you would have gotten a seat. Of course, this didn't happen. The real situation is you weren't on time and you didn't get a seat. That's the reality. But we can use the third conditional to express, a maybe wish for the past, or if something would have happened in other way. So this is a third conditional about for unreal situations, for imaginary situations in the past. Or why not? If she had read the book, she might have understood the lecture. If she had read the book, she might have understood the lecture, for sure. Or finally, if they hadn't called, they would have come to the party. If they hadn't called, they would have come to the party. Or they wouldn't have come to the party. Let's see it. This is the reference here. So again, remember, the third conditional, it's about unreal events, your past wishes, unreal situations, imaginary situations, but in the past. And why imaginary situations in the past? Well, because the past is in the past and we can change it, but we can fantasize it about, right? So this is the option you have for the third conditional. And keep in mind the third conditional is really useful when you talk about maybe regrets, or expectations in the past that didn't come true. So this is about the third conditional. So if you had been on time, you would have gotten a seat. And if you had paid attention to this class, you might have understood completely. Okay, let's see the next part.
Wow, interesting. Now you know the structure of the third conditional. We have the if clause and of course the result clause. Now, in the result clause, sometimes you could use might have or could have when you are unsure about the result. And keep in mind that if the if clause comes first, it's okay. But the if clause can be first or second. I mean, we can switch, in this case, positions, but use a comma separating the clauses if the if clause comes first. Let's see some examples here. And we have, if you have been on time, comma, you have gotten a seat. Perfect. If, first clause, comma, and then the result clause. What if we switch the clauses? Let's see the second example. You have gotten a seat if you've been on time. In this case, we don't have a comma because we switch, in this case, positions. We start the sentence, or we started the sentence by the result clause, and then we position the if clause. So in the second case, we don't need a comma. Okay, so now you know a lot about the third conditional. Time to practice.